Good morning. Welcome to SOGcast number 46. And today we're going to take a little special turn in our storytelling here with SOGcast. And first and foremost, as always, we thank Jocko Willink Productions to make SOGcast possible. We've been doing these for almost 3 years now. And today we're going to take a unique turn and to give a story from a member of the SOGcast team. When we first started 3 years ago recording our SOGcast interviews based on the 8-year Secret War, we had a technician who made a lot of this possible, guiding us through the recording process. And at that time, we identified him as Tom, the top secret technician, because he was still serving our country with the 5th Special Forces Group. He is now retired. And during this time, while working with us, working full-time with the 5th Special Forces Group on different assignments, some of which we can't even talk about today, nor will we be able to talk about for 18 years. He, in his spare time, helped people in Afghanistan to escape from the tyranny after the blundering, wrongful experiences that are experienced there by American personnel in August of 2021. So I want to welcome to the show today for the first time publicly, SOGcast number 46, our Tom Lanning, the SOGcast technician. Tom, welcome to the show officially.
I would say it's great to be here for the first time, but it's great to be here for, I don't remember how many I've actually done, but quite a few. It's new. It's in front of the camera now.
Indeed,
no hiding anymore.
And so, and the reason why I really wanted to take this opportunity was not only to thank you for all you've done with us and our team to get the recordings, but your stories that you couldn't talk about, now you can, even in a somewhat limited manner, but they're just very compelling. And for our listening audience, in August of 2021, as many remember, the government, the United States government, officially pulled out of Afghanistan in the most horrendous fashion, leaving behind thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of people, including Americans, as well as many allies who served with American forces, including our Green Beret A teams and Navy SEAL teams, MARSOC teams that were all in country at that time. It was just a horrible experience, which was epitomized at the Abbey Gate incident, which was around about August the 18th of 2021, where 13 of our service members were killed by a body explosive from a terrorist who also killed dozens of citizens at that time that were at the gate trying to escape from Afghanistan to get out of the country because the Taliban was coming to take over the country. And Tom, when that moment happened, even though you and I were busy doing the SOGcast, what I didn't realize was that you had begun working with people there. And when we've talked in recent weeks, going back over this, I think you had this all began. How did it begin? Because somebody called you up and said, take it from there.
Yeah, so I had just gotten over COVID or the flu.
And don't forget, tell them about the drug that helped you overcome it.
Yeah, so I ended up taking ivermectin, which really helped me get over it, which I got later scolded for because it was not FDA approved from what I was told. Anyway, so I get over COVID, and a friend of mine who's also a neighbor, and he was also a fellow teammate, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, can you come over and help me?" And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm setting up a JOC, or a TOC, which is a Tactical Operations Center, for those who don't know the acronym." But he said, "I'm setting it up in my basement." And I'm like, "For what? Like, are we under attack?" And he goes, "No." He's like, "To help with Afghanistan." And I was like, and understand I just got out of COVID, so I watched the news a little bit, but not much because I was in and out. But I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. So that was that day was actually August 18th, the Abbey Gate bombing. Not to correct you, John, by any means. August 26th was the actual bombing at Abbey Gate.
Okay, very good.
So August 18th, he texts me and says, "Hey, can you come over and help me?" I said, "Sure, I'll help you set up." And so I go over there and help him set up his computers, get his various chat groups going, get some screens set up for him. And that was pretty much what I thought my end of it was going to be. And lo and behold, that was just the tip of the iceberg, and probably the snowflake of the iceberg at this point of my involvement. So I get it all set up. I start helping him, and I'm like, "How are we doing this?" He said, "How are you helping people from here in Tennessee? Like, what are we doing?" So he had a friend who was working at Abbey Gate at the time. And we had
at the Abbey Gate itself.
Yeah,
okay.
He was there at the gate. And then we had a couple other friends that worked various places in the base, and either contractors or military. And what they were doing is there had been a small group of guys get together, and this happened all over the country, and this happened on larger scales with like Pineapple Express and a couple of the other ones that were very huge.
Right.
We were, I think, 8 of us. I think there's 8. I think that
really?
was it. There was only
all
8
SF?
of us. Either SF or former or in another capacity in special operations.
Right.
So we got together and we were vetting them through one of the people that was working with us. And he was actually doing...
When you say you're vetting Afghanis who want to get out.
Correct. And making sure that they're not on a terrorist watch list, making sure they clear State Department and stuff like that. We were actually doing it legit and had the means to do it because of, some people's access. So every one of us brought something to the table.
Right.
And then, so we continued to work together to do that. We formed our little group and we started to go to work. We would submit names. They would get cleared. We would find out. We would keep lists of all the people. Within, I would say, a week, I was tracking 25 American citizens by myself. So there's eight of us, and I was tracking 25 that nobody else was tracking on our team because
25 American citizens still in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Wow.
So
I forgot that part of it.
Yeah. Well, and then if you remember, our president came out and said there are less than 100 Americans still in Afghanistan. Well, I was bewildered by the fact that I was tracking a quarter of the total Americans in Afghanistan at the time. I was like, really?
Oh, my God.
And for whatever reason, I seemed, or the individuals that got fed to me to track and try to help, I will really lay this out that I did not physically go and help anyone. I did not, it wasn't just me getting anyone out. It was a team effort of a lot of people. As the story goes, you'll see.
Yeah.
But I was their advocate. It
Sure.
was they had none. As you remember, the same thing happened. I don't know, sometime in the 1970s. I don't know, maybe in Saigon.
April 30, 1975. Yes, sir.
When you, all your people that you worked with were left behind, we actually now had a means to be able to talk to them and to work with them and try to help them, which you guys did not have.
Right.
Right? I mean, you could send it by U.S. Postal Service, but we all know how fast that goes. That letter's still en route to Vietnam.
Yeah, it's still being reviewed by the communist censors.
Right. So
Indeed.
there was a lot of ups and downs during this, a lot of bumpy roads, even from August 18th, from when I first started, till the 26th when Abbey Gate blew up.
And when you begin rolling with this thing, so now you're communicating with 25 Americans still in Afghanistan. You're getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to work before you go to your job to help people. After you put in your 10 to 12 hours at work, you come home and you're working until 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I can remember you and I talked about podcast issues or something going on with Fifth Special Forces Group, and you saying, wait, I got another phone here. And you had 2 or 3 separate cell phones at one time working that.
I had two phones, but so the one thing I did is I maintained a level of separation just so I didn't communicate directly with them based off being in the military, still having clearances and not wanting to jeopardize like those, my work. So I had to be very careful. So the way I handled it was I talked to other Americans in the United States who then talked to the people that were actually in Afghanistan. So I was helping families through Americans who basically they're either Afghanis that were, that came to the United States and became citizens or whatever it was. But that's how I communicated to make sure that I was above board and making sure I was doing it all the right way so that I wouldn't get in trouble for that.
Indeed. Low profile.
Yeah, definitely. And it was easier to control. So one of the issues you saw going on from August into September even was there's so many little groups, and all these little groups were raising money, trying to get flights, trying to get documents, trying to whatever they could do. Well, there are all these little groups pulling money in, and then everybody had a little bit of money, but nobody had enough money because you had too many pots out there. So all that big money was spread out. So, like I said, I was affiliated with one group, and then Abbey Gate was kind of that turning point of everything because that was the end, right? There was nothing. It was, once that happened, it was a struggle, and there was a lot of, as you said, the sleepless nights. It wasn't go to bed and wake up. It was just not go to bed. I always laugh. I don't know the number, but I always say I think I slept 40 hours from August till November. With work, and we actually had an exercise during the time, and doing this, like sleep was, you'll get over it. You sleep later. If they wanted me to sleep, they'd tell me to go sleep, but they didn't.
Right,
so
like Billy Wall said, I can sleep when I'm dead.
Yes, exactly. So there was a lot of that, and a lot of going back and forth, and there's a lot of wins. I helped, actually, he was a potential congressman in Tennessee.
No kidding.
He had a family, and the story is kind of funny because the day we got him to the gate, I think this was pre-Abbey Gate. It might have been just after. Memory's kind of a blur. But it's, they were driving to the gate. They were taking a taxi. So they're in Kabul in a taxi. And the dad in the car had sent a video through, and they sent the video to me. And this video is them doing like 50 miles an hour in the streets of Kabul, trying to get to the gate before it ended. And they did get there, and it was kind of funny because they had a purple umbrella, and we're just, we were talking, and the guy on the ground, we're all communicating, and it worked out. They got out, and they had their baby that got out.
Wow. So they were able to get through Abbey Gate before it exploded there?
No, they went through a different gate.
Because there was a couple of, can we even talk about some of the different ways that people were able to get into the airport?
Yeah, people are going through, obviously Abbey Gate was one of the main ones. You had South Gate, you had the main entrance. Actually, we had one guy whose his mom was, this was someone else was handling this one, but his mom was handicapped in a wheelchair. But this guy, we tried to get him out through one of the gates. It failed, and he actually messaged us and said, "Hey, I'm just gonna go to the airport and get a ticket." And I'm like, I wouldn't go to the main concourse and just buy a ticket when the Taliban own the airport. This is, and this is post, right? So they own the airport. And he's like, I'm just gonna try. So he goes in, and we're trying to tell him don't, and he goes, and he made it.
Really?
He ended up
an American.
He's Afghani.
Okay.
But he made it out of the country, made it to Germany somehow, and I believe he's in the U.S. But he left his mom in a wheelchair. We're like, dude, you left your mom.
Oh my God!
But he got out. But he was one of those cases where you're like, don't do that. You're taking a huge risk.
Yeah.
Because Taliban could just be like, nope, and you're dead. Or in prison, or whatever, or inscripted into their, army.
And by that time, the Taliban was exacting cruelty upon any Afghani who even may have been close to, let alone help Americans.
Yeah. And we had, towards the end of August, there was one family. Early on, for whatever reason, kids were what kept getting sent to me by these people. I don't know. I really don't know how my number got out to so many people, but it did. And I was getting messages and messages like, hey, can you help? Can you help? And, I was limited. I could help by, giving you hope.
Right.
But I couldn't help by like going and grabbing your family. But I had a woman with her 4 kids they were all Americans, but she was by herself.
Whoa.
So she couldn't go anywhere, right? Because she's a woman in Afghanistan right now, and she can't walk the streets alone without a male. There was another woman, her 2 daughters. She had gotten beat up by Taliban. They came in, raided her house. They beat her up and her 2 kids, and then they left. And then through some other means, I was able to communicate with her and tell her, hey, don't leave the house and don't go on anything. Don't get on any buses. Unless you talk to us first, right? Make sure you reach out to the person that you know. Don't do anything until you talk to us.
And by this time, your network was establishing more people there on the ground, either a bus driver, a taxi driver, or somebody who wasn't under the suspicion of the Taliban, who was putting their life at risk, to help you to help them.
Yep. And then about 2 hours after that, this was, I think I talked through our means to her at about, I think that was midnight, something like that. And then 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I got a message, or my phone rang. It wasn't even a message, it was a phone ring, and I answered it. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I finally had just kind of dozed off, and then wake up to, hey, she just got on the bus. And I'm like, what bus? I'm like, call her back and get her. He goes, I tried. It went right to voicemail. So her and her 2 daughters had gone and gotten on a bus, and the Taliban, this had been a known thing they were doing, is they're driving buses around saying, hey, we're taking you to Kabul, we're taking you to HKI, we're going to get you to the airport and get you out of here. And they're gone. So my friend Razul, who you've met and we'll talk about in later in this, he said he doesn't think they're dead. He thinks they're, somewhere with the Taliban.
And they still haven't resurfaced since then.
So, yeah, they smashed their phones. And so, lost those 3. The 4 kids with the 1 woman, the Americans, they disappeared on me as well after Abbey in end of August. It was August 31st was the last time we had any communication with them, and then it went dark and we had nothing. And so obviously you fear the worst at that point. You're like,
oh yeah,
lost. And and for me it's like I lost those 3, and now I have these 4, and now obviously I didn't lose them, like I wasn't directly connected. Fact is, I've never been to Afghanistan,
right?
But it's kind of in your training, right? You're trying to help. Right?
Certainly.
It's kind of in, says it on places like on a crest.
To free the oppressed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why? That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, I just helped. But when I lost those 4, that was rough. Which later in September, I actually found out and saw pictures of. Those 4 had gotten picked up because I had been reaching out to numerous agencies, numerous political individuals, news agencies, everything I could find.
Right.
I grasped at anything. If someone gave me a lead, I took it. It's like those reporters, right? You get a lead and you go run with it. Or,
sure.
So I would take it, and I would expend every avenue I possibly could. You linked me up with people that I talked to, and
a few, yeah.
And the people I talked to, because of the Afghanistan stuff at the levels they were, I never thought I'd ever talk that high up, ever in my life. And those 4 got on a plane and they got out of there. But for a month,
you didn't know.
Yeah, and how I found out was a video chat at 3 o'clock in the morning in September with another friend of mine who helped, and she's in Virginia right now, and she said, hang on a second, I'm getting a call. Let me call you back. And we had just discussed this family.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she calls back on a video chat with her, myself, and one other person. And as soon as the screen comes up and the video comes up, she's crying. So I'm immediately assuming, that they're dead. So my first reaction was they're gone or they're dead, aren't they?
Oh my God.
And the other individual said no, and they put their phone up and showed me the picture of them getting on the plane.
Oh wow.
Said, I got them out. They're going. They're gone. They're in. I think they went to UAE, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And this is 3:00 in the morning. So, adrenaline rush, emotional rush, all that right there. Another night with no sleep, which was an ongoing thing during this.
Well, and also, I mean, during that time, one of your instead of this government entity being an ally working with you, you ran into a lot of friction with our beloved State Department.
Yeah.
Where, in my opinion, is probably more communist than there are in Moscow.
There was the State Department. I mean, I get it. It wasn't easy, but I mean, the stuff I've heard of, bringing in self-help dogs to help people because they're like, oh, we couldn't help families. I'm like, yeah, neither could we. And it was funny because I kept saying we were on I was on a call with one of the guys on my little team, and I was like, man, if there's only an organization, that could bring all of these non-government organizations, right? These charities like Pineapple Express and all the rest of them, and Sanctuary is one, and that's actually the shirt I'm wearing today, just
Good
because.
Shirt, indeed.
But and they're still helping, and all those groups, right? If there's only an organization that brought them together, they're like, oh, you mean like State Department? I'm like, no. A group that actually brings people together and then distributes where it needs to be and helps coordinate. And they're like, yeah, State Department. I say, no. An organization that actually works. So there was a lot of humor in it. And obviously that was very sarcastic of me, but it's the way I saw it.
But you also had a lot of really, many times when you had no cooperation whatsoever.
No. And a lot of that came later. So it kind of going forward into October, October 10th, I received a text message, random, which happened a lot. And it was, hey, the family that I have in Maine, their family's in Kabul, and they need help. Their boy has been shot. And I was like, oh. And then, of course, what everybody did is send me pictures of kids and, pull on your heartstrings, right? And
Sure.
It's like, you could show me an adult and I'll be like, well, we've kind of lived a good life. You probably done some wrong and done some right. But, children to me are different, right? They're children. They're innocent. They're, in a way pure, and you want to help them. So, yeah, that worked. So they'd send me pictures of kids. Well, they sent me this picture of this child. His name is Fouad, and he had been shot, and he sustained a gunshot wound through his cheek. It entered through, I believe it was left side, went through the nasal cavity, and then exited. He lost his left eye from the overpressure, and then so he had gotten shot. Well, it was the funniest thing. It took me a year to figure this out. A whole year after finding out about him. It took me a whole year. He got shot on August 18th, which is the same day
that you got started.
That I started.
With that phone call.
So it's like, it's weird. You could say it is what it is, and you say, oh, it's coincidence, or it could 100% could be. But it's like, I got involved on the same day that he got shot. And it's like, to me, that means something. It's like, we were meant to cross paths. I was meant to help him. And I got involved. Well, he had already been trying to get help. So, I mean, that story in itself is, it's 6 hours.
So before we go down the Fouad Trail, which is a great story, and I want to come back to much more focus on, from the day you get involved on August 18th through October the 10th, you had helped many people along the way. And you also had some interesting sidebars. Like there was a time you had a plane that was going to land in the desert, and you never got the right clearances. But so you're dealing with an aircraft company somewhere. You had a plane that you could get people on in the desert. That's like one of these little sidebars, man. We got to go cover that a little.
Yeah, there was so I was working with several people, and for all of you that helped me, I'm going to say this up front. For all of you that helped me, my hats are off to you, and I'm not going to bring your names into this. If you want your names exposed, when this publishes, you can put your name out there, but I'm not doing it because it's not my place. There are a lot of people I worked with, and across the country and even globally. So there are some that weren't even in the U.S., but they're U.S. citizens. They were just living in a different country. And I mean, I was connected with a couple different small groups that were helping people, and they were very good. They did great things, and they do great things now for service members, including, is it the Freedom Flight? It's I forget the name of it. It's the World War II. They fly them to D.C.
Oh, yeah, Freedom Flight.
And
there's a title for it, but it's the flight where the World War II vets are taken back to Washington, D.C. for the World War II monument.
And I got to meet, for the first time, one of the guys that I'd been working with for years in 23, because he flew in for that. So he was part of that. Yeah. So there's some really good things, and these are really great people. So I'm leaving their names out because it's not my place to say who they are. But we were working with them, and he was like, "Hey, I can get a plane." He's like, "Do you have a manifest?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a manifest." And do you have people? He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, how many seats?" He told me. I said, "Let me send me your people." I had most of them already. I became
These are people all come to you individually?
Yeah, these are
through your
groups. Yeah, or it's our group talking to or me of my group talking to this group, because what I did is I didn't latch on to one group and say I'm all in here.
Right.
I was kind of like I was a freelancer.
Free agent.
Yeah, I went wherever I could get help, right?
Yeah.
And if I could help. Right.
Sure.
So it wasn't just, "Hey, do you have seats on a plane? Can you get my people out?" It was more, I was doing like, "Hey, I have all these people. None of them are really mine because I've never been to Afghanistan. I don't know any of these people."
Yeah.
But, so yeah, he had a company that said they could go in and get them out. And the plan was to land somewhere. This is probably horrible, but they were going to land somewhere in the desert on a desert strip. We were going to bus people out there as soon as the plane touched down. The buses would already be pre-staged. They would pull in and taxi up. We would dump the bus into the plane, and the plane takes off and lands somewhere nearby because they're not refilling at this desert stop. So they couldn't go far because they had to fly in and out, so there's no refueling.
At least get out of the Afghan airspace.
And there's only certain ways you can go.
Sure.
Can't go west because you're going to fly over Iran, and that's not going to go well probably.
No.
So they had to figure out a way. Well, they had everything. We had everything planned. We had who the people were. Every one of them was vetted. We had everything figured out except for where they were going. But the company kept telling my contact, they kept telling them, like, "Yeah, we got it. Everything's good. We got all the documents." Yeah, they didn't have. There was no diplomatic clearances. There was no. So they had nothing. So basically, when they took off, they couldn't land anywhere.
No.
So they would have been stranded, and the furthest they were probably going to go is just north of Afghanistan. But they weren't going to make it far. But they had. I don't know what was going to happen to the people. So,
oh my gosh,
we ended up pulling out of that, and it took him.
You wind up putting together a manifest, dealing with the people and all the different levels in between. In your spare time, you're still working, and even by that time, you'd been involved for 2 months, and you'd helped over a dozen people by that time to get out.
Yeah, there was by the end of August, I didn't find out until September, but I ended up, or at least I was associated with assisting 23 out of 25 Americans I was associated with had gotten out.
Wow.
So that was, it's uplifting, right? So it's like, okay, I got 23 out of 25. Let me do, my math. What is that, 90%? But it's like, to me, the 3 that didn't make it, the woman and her 2 kids, That's the only one that you remember. The 23 or 22. Sorry, my math is way off now. The 22 that got out.
Yeah,
they're 22 that got out, and I'll tell you, I don't think out of those 22, none of them knew who I was.
Sure.
I didn't do any of this for notoriety. I didn't even get involved. In the beginning, I was going to be Tom the technician, right?
Yeah.
I was going to help you set up stuff. I had no desire, and I still don't have any desire for notoriety. That's why it's taken us this long to do this, because
Oh yeah,
it's hard.
I had to drag you in here to tell you a little bit of the story, because it's fascinating and also gives some more firsthand insight into the drama that's going on behind the scenes, particularly in light of the fact that even if our forgetful president didn't know how many Americans were actually left behind, I'm sure there's much more than 100. And for you to be able to work with them to get them out because their government failed them, that's just one hell of a statement.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have hung your hat on that, but you didn't, because you received that phone call on October the 10th.
Yeah.
And that draws you to Fawad.
Yeah.
The 6-year-old shot in the face. And could you explain a little bit about the circumstance? Because his mother was carrying him. Mm-hmm. His dad had his youngest brother.
Yeah.
And they were at Abbey Gate.
No, they were at the entrance to HGHANISTAN, the main entrance to the airport.
Okay.
They were trying to go into the main entrance. So they were standing right in front of the airport before it opened, waiting for it to open. Obviously there's hundreds of people.
And this is
not
night.
Thousands. Daytime.
Oh, okay.
So they're at the gate waiting for it to open in the morning and to go in. And like everybody was doing, as you saw, the people grabbing on wheels to fly out of Afghanistan. But they were trying to board a plane. They were just trying to get out of Afghanistan. They got there, and then there was some Taliban walking around, milling around within the crowd.
Right.
They had rifles. They're slung on their shoulders. When they were doing that, one of the Taliban took his rifle off of his back. And then, and it had been known that the Taliban was at times would point into the crowd and just start shooting into the crowds, right? So there was a fear.
It's just hard to imagine that kind of conduct.
Imagine the psyche of being able to just sit there and randomly shoot, masses of people. So as soon as he took his rifle off his shoulder, he started lowering the barrel. And this is coming from Fawad's mother, Zora, who told me, as soon as his barrel started lowering towards the level of the crowd, they heard a gunshot, and then that guy dropped. So somebody took him out. They're not quite sure who. They're not quite sure where it came from. They didn't know. At that point, they just didn't want to get killed. So they're not paying attention to that. So we don't know who actually shot him, but someone did. He dropped. The Taliban that were around, who just saw their fellow Taliban get killed, what do? Well, they point towards the coalition forces and the Americans up on the walls, and they start shooting. Well, they're on one side, the Americans are on the other, and the crowd is in the middle. So immediately before, what she says, before the Americans returned fire, they yelled out for everyone to get on the ground. So everybody hit the ground. So she has Fawad, and she lays down on top of him. And he was 6 years old at the time. And then his brother, Emran, was with his dad, and he did the same thing. So mom and dad lay on top of their boys, which makes sense, right? They're trying to protect them.
Oh, yeah.
So they go, and then there was a lull in the fire. So mom and dad talk and said, hey, we need to get out of here. This isn't a good place. So let's go. So lull happens. They pick up, and a bunch of other people did as well, and they start running. Well, dad zagged and mom zigged, so they went in two different directions. Mom ran straight up into the airport. So she ran into the main gates, into the main doors. Dad went left. So now they're separated.
Yeah.
She gets into as she's approaching the airport, when talking to her, she said when she got into, or as she was approaching the airport, she felt the wind of something go by her. So she felt basically the bullet go past, right? Oh. So she gets into the airport, turns right immediately, and there was a room, and she said she opened the door and there's a bunch of people in there. And when they looked at her, they weren't mad, but their faces were just aghast, like horrid, like something.
They saw something she wasn't cognizant of.
Yeah, and she doesn't understand. So when she picked up Fawad, she's carrying him with his back against her chest. And so you can imagine he's facing away from her as they're approaching the airport. When she goes in, they see him and then her behind her. Now Zora is tiny. She's like 5'2". I mean, she's a very small, petite woman.
And that's the mom, Zora.
Yeah. And she gets in there, and they all look at her. Well, she turns Fawad down, sets him down on the floor, and now she knows why.
Wow.
So that's the first time she saw it, and when she saw it, she passed out. Right there, just dropped.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, because she thought he was... Well, one, because of the shot, and two, she said she thought he was dead. Two, like, 18-year-old, somewhere in there, 20-year-old men that were in that room, right, who are just like every other Afghani trying to leave that country.
Sure.
Trying to get out of there. They grabbed her and grabbed him, left the airport with them, took them to the hospital.
Really?
Got them in the hospital, and they separated mom from son because obvious reasons with his gunshot wound to the face.
Sure.
They separated him. One of the guys stayed with mom. One stayed with Fawad, so that they wouldn't lose contact because they each had a phone, so they could communicate with each other. So then Zora was trying to communicate with her husband when she came to. He's gone somewhere else, so he has to find mom. Then they finally bring him back together, but they won't treat him. So from all the accounts, like they wouldn't treat him, anything. From what we were told, they bandaged him and put him, and then brought him, and then they went home.
Yeah, there was a story on Fawad that was in the Maine Sunday Telegram that was printed in January of 29th, 2023.
Yeah.
They have that story there. They've even got your picture. And they explain the damage of that one round.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the bullet had torn through Fawad's right cheek, shattered his nose, destroyed the base of his left eye socket, leaving him blind in the eye. And the doctors at the first hospital provided basic medical care, including stitches, antibiotics, and pain medications. But for that kind of a surgery, they had to get more help.
Oh, yeah. And they didn't have it.
Oh, my God.
They didn't have it. So how that all came about was, so the message that came to me came from an American who, she's in that story. Jen, she reached out to me. She had helped Fawad's aunt and cousin, which is
this is
Zora's
Jennifer
sister.
Atkinson.
Yeah. So their cousins, or Zora's sister, Malia, was in Maine.
Right.
And they did, she helped them get their citizenship. And that's how this all came about. Well, her Marwa was 16 at the time when her cousins, this all happened in 21. She was 16 in high school. And she speaks really well English. Her English is perfect. Her mom doesn't speak any English, so she runs the family, basically. She handles everything.
Oh, wow.
At 16. And so she had reached out, and Jennifer, and then I had chance to talk to Marwa several times. And I could tell you I've never seen a 16-year-old as strong. Boy or girl, doesn't matter. A 16-year-old as strong as she was. And how she was able to deal with everything, especially her past. And we won't get into too much of that because they had a horrific journey to the U.S. And stuff that happened. Her dad was killed by the Taliban. So, like, there's a lot that this family has gone through. And now, again, it's going through it again, right? So she has to relive all of the old stuff plus the new stuff. And she was so calm. When I would tell her things to tell, Fuad's family, she told them. She didn't, there was no cry sessions. There was no, upset sessions. There was no not listening. If I said something, she did it. And it was great. And it was really weird because she's 16 and I would forget because I had helped them for over a year. And I'd forget she's 16 because of how she handled herself. How calm. Like, you'd think she was trained. You'd think she'd been through all the same courses we've all been to and had been in, crisis situations after crisis situations and just was like, okay, yeah, the building's gone, but it's all right. We'll be all right. Just nothing, which was great because I dealt with a lot of people who were not that way.
Sure.
And that hurts. So yeah, he gets shot. They ended up living in Fuad's grandparents' house. So in the house you had grandma, grandpa, you had Fuad's family, which was 4, and then Marwa's stepdad was there as well.
Oh, wow.
And so you had this, and it was a small place, dirt floors. Like it was bad. I'd seen pictures of it, and I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. And they couldn't do much, right?
Right.
Well, they didn't know. So his mom and dad were like not educated, right? So they're illiterate. So they don't understand a lot of what was happening at the hospital. Whatever doctors would say, they didn't understand. I remember his dad saying that one day he couldn't even go to work because he didn't have money to take the bus to go to work to make money. Like that's how poor they were. So they were, 2 parents that were illiterate, uneducated. Mom had no education. Dad, I think he said 5th grade education. He was work.
Sure.
He did embroidery and painting and stuff, and so he made money, but it was not a lot. But they didn't know why Fuad was shot. Right? To them, someone shot him. Not it was an accidental. Right? Because they didn't understand the difference. So they were in fear of their life because they thought someone was trying to kill them,
and that they would come back looking for him to finish the job.
Yes, and that's what they thought.
That's
right?
their style,
and that's what they saw in that country. Right?
Sure.
In Afghanistan, that's what you'd see. So that's what they did all the time, and so they hid. And I communicated with Marwa when I gotten the message about him. I had received a flight to get people out. And I got a phone call one day. It was actually October 4th, I believe. I got a phone call and said, hey, you have a plane? I was like, nope, I don't have a plane. No, you have a plane. I'm like, no, I don't have a plane. They're like, no, we have you a flight. I need your manifest.
Right.
So it's like, okay.
And you always kept the manifest
Always,
handy. You
always
worked
up
on
to
it.
date, and I always had it. That's one of the reasons I didn't sleep. I was always looking at it, always prioritizing, always looking at everybody, and I had it broken down by who was actually the one that represented the family, who the family was, all their documents, what they had. Anybody who's ever done anything with Afghanistan understands exactly what I'm talking about. There's probably 800 spreadsheets I've created because they changed every hour, minute, or day, depending on what State Department wanted at the time. So they changed constantly. So, and everybody knows we have probably databases of people out there that are in the wrong format for that day. But so I always kept it, and I always try to keep prioritized so that if that call comes, you can quickly throw it. So I always had mine set, prioritized, ready to go. So I had already submitted it. It was a 200-seat plane. I was able to put 150 on it of mine and 50 of a different group or a different section of people. And so then this comes down on October 10th, and I said, so I went back to the person who I was talking with about the plane. I said, hey, I need to add some names to my flight. And he goes, why? And I told him, and he's like, let me see what I can do. He reached out. Unfortunately, the manifest had been cleared. Obviously, it had been cleared through us and our resources within the United States, but it had already been locked down by the Emiratis, and because that flight was going to UAE. And so they had already locked down the manifest. We couldn't change it. So we ended up just, I couldn't put him on the plane. However, I was told, there's many more flights coming. And that flight took off on, I believe it was October 19th. And they were not on that plane. And I said, hey, don't worry, there's going to be more flights. And there weren't. There were no more NGO flights. There was no more of that. Everything shut down pretty harsh after that for flights. Like there wasn't much flying out. There wasn't much communication being...
no flights out of Afghanistan itself.
Yeah, and there was no communication. Like I started reaching out to whoever I could. I actually got a phone number and for someone that worked at our State Department. He didn't actually work there. He worked somewhere else. He just was filling in there as temporary help
type capacity.
So I reached out to him. He brought Fuad's case up because I wanted to get him out, due to medical reasons. We were trying everything. Got told no. I got told no 3 times between the month of end of October and December. I got told no 3 times. Not our case, not our priority, not our worry. Were basically the reasons. So we reached out. One of the gentlemen that's in this, Dr. Caterson, he was great. He was reaching out to colleagues in other countries. Can we get them anywhere else? We looked at moving them to Pakistan. We looked at moving them to India. We looked at moving. I mean, we were trying everything. How are we going to move them for one? Because
and also, let me interrupt for a second because we had the initial treatment when he gets shot on the 18th.
Yeah.
So was there additional treatment given to him while you're doing all this that helped stabilize him a little bit, or did it not?
Not that we were aware of. We had no.
So
the only thing
idea.
we all we had to go off was like he's never been treated for this injury, and we're worried about obviously infection,
how's he
deformity.
Still alive?
Oh yeah, you want to talk about the strongest 6-year-old in your life? This, in my eyes at this point, he's a 6-year-old who got shot in the face, lost his left eye, living in a dirt house with nothing, some antibiotics. No medical treatment from what I was getting told, right?
Sure.
Nothing. Not getting any treatment, not getting anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this kid still fighting? And one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life was during this was the picture of Fuad when he got shot is very horrific. The picture they took is of obviously him laying there with his face. So it's pretty horrific for normal people. Like they don't want to see that. All right. No. And the paper did good. They didn't print it. I have a copy. I would not release that to anyone. Like it's just not. It's not something you do, right? But especially when you look at the pictures of him before. But so we had no clue. He had nothing. But this 6-year-old kid, how is he still alive? How is he still wanting to be alive? Where's his? How does he even have desire to be alive? Yeah. Right at this point, like. I would think most people would just give up and be like, and just kind of let my wounds take me away, and just kind of go to sleep and don't wake up. And he didn't, and he made it. So his drive to stay alive, Marwa's drive to continue to help, was what made me stay in it. And I told Marwa in October after I did not get them on that flight. I said, Marwa, I will make you one promise. I said, I cannot tell you, I promise I'll get him out. I said, but what I will do is I will promise you, I will do everything in my power and whatever I can figure out, I will do everything I can to get him out. I will not give up until I am basically told it's done or he's out. I said, right. I will make you that promise. And she said, thank you. She goes, that's all I want to hear. And I was like, wow. A 16-year-old girl telling you that. It's
yeah.
Really? Then...
And meanwhile, you're juggling other cases. You're still working. You're on an assignment that we still can't talk about. We won't be able to for a long time. Yeah. And you're juggling all this and helping them. And here's you talking to Mara, our 16-year-old wonder child.
Yeah, we had... at this point, I had started getting... I got manifests... at this point. At one point during this, someone on my team had asked me, like, hey, how much training have you had in doing stuff like this? I'm like, none. Very little. They're like, wow. And then they said, well, how many people do you have manifested right now? And I go, hang on. And I pulled my spreadsheet, and this was in the beginning of October and included the 150. I said I have 450 people, and then 15. I had 15 Americans, like the people in the United States that I was talking to, and I had 450. And then shortly thereafter,
450 people you're talking to?
No, 15. And they're talking to all of the the family.
Part of your network.
Well, and then that drastically increased. I got word that there was soldiers' families. So American soldiers, American service members. I won't say soldiers because some were Air Force and stuff, but American service members, families are still in Afghanistan. These are kids who grew up with this war. You remember, this is 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
So these kids grew up in that war, turned 18 or whatever, went to U.S., got citizenship, and joined the military. And now they're there. They're here. And they were being put into camps in the U.S. to be interpreters.
Sure.
And their families are still there.
Whoa.
We left there. And I'm not talking about, and some of them, trust me, I've seen lists of families. I saw one, it was 80 people. Like, it was one family, it was 80. I was like, okay, no. I limited it to your mother, your father, your brothers, sisters, so your siblings, your immediate family. Maybe if it was like, hey, it's all I have is my mom and my dad and my grandma, but it was case by case basis because of what I would actually take on.
Sure.
So I limited it, and I still I took on that list, and that was 450 more people. So I was over 900. God. At one point, it was hard. It was It was a lot of work. Like it was enough to drive me nuts. But I didn't. I stayed in it. I'm actually still married, which is shocking after all that. But it took a lot of time away from my family. It took a lot of time away from everything. Anything outside of work in Afghanistan, that was it. That was my life. And my numbers. I see a lot of people talking about the numbers that they got out and what they did, and we did this and we got this many, and I don't know. I really couldn't put a number on it. If I had to guess, out of what I know, number is it has to be somewhere around 1,000. But it could be more, it could be less. I just don't know because I didn't have direct connection to any of these.
And you didn't keep a list. You just helped people when it came time to help.
If someone asked me for a list, it went. And then if they got out, I don't know what happened to them. I've only made contact with 2 families that I've helped. Fuad's family, obviously, one. And the other one was a family who their dad was actually the personal security for Ghani. And his story's kind of funny because he tried to get out on Ghani's helicopter, if everybody remembers when
Ghani had all his money on the helicopter.
Flew out on a helicopter with money. He tried to sneak in the helicopter and got caught twice and then left on the roof and they flew away. But I ended up getting his wife, his 3 kids, and his wife's brother out of the country. And they flew out on October 17th, or 19th. Sorry, they flew out on that last flight. And I've touched base with them, and I'm actually still planning on going and seeing them. I just haven't. I met one of them. I met his wife's brother.
Sure.
I met him, and we had a nice talk last summer. And it was so incredible to reach out and see him. Because it's like, you're here. You're like, you made it. Because we were working with them. He was texting through his brother. So his brother's an American citizen. At the time lived in San Diego. I think he still lives there now. But I was texting with him, and he was texting his brother in Afghanistan, and they were running all the way around to it was called Blackgate. It was you had like Southgate. This was on the far side, opposite. Basically, you had
the main
Abbey
gate.
You had Blackgate. Blackgate wasn't a main gate. It was Quiet gate. It's what Black Gate makes sense. But they had to go all the way around
The base.
Which
is huge.
Huge. They didn't have a car. They walked the
Wow.
entire way around. So they got there, and we were told we had it. It was good. We were good. This is it. We're like, trust me, we shifted these people. I mean, if you watch during that time of August to October,
Yeah.
people went from Kabul to Mazar, back to Kabul to Jalal. They all over. They were going all over to get out of that country. We had people swimming across to get to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. They were, and then going across to Pakistan. Like, you had people everywhere. I had people everywhere. And it was like sometimes it was hard to keep track of who was where. So I had to literally keep a list of who was in what city so that I knew when
Sure.
someone texted me what it was related to. So I had to change all their names to that plus where the family was. So I knew when it came up, I knew what to look at. Wow. But yeah, they get to the gate and he goes, all of a sudden he texts me I get a text from his brother or a call from his brother when he got text. He goes, "Hey, can you tell the guys in the tower to turn their lasers off of my chest?"
Oh,
and
whoa.
his brother's like
The lasers from their weapons.
Yeah, he's relaying this to me, and I was like, "Tell him right now to turn and walk straight away from the fence line. Don't do anything. Just walk away." And he goes, "Okay." And he goes, "All right." I sent him. He said, "Okay." He's walking away. Hang on. Oh, he said, "Should I hold my phone in the air?" I said, "No. Do not pull your phone out because some kid right there is probably going to shoot you because he thinks it's a bomb."
Yeah.
So don't do anything. Just walk away. Keep your hands in the air and walk
It's
away.
the little things that could
Yep.
be the difference between life and death.
So they walked out, and then they walked all the way back. Then they went to... I told them to go to Mazar because that's what we were being told.
Sure.
Then that all fell through. They stayed, and then I was giving them advice and trying to help them, but they didn't want any. So then that was all between August and October, and then finally I got them on a plane. But yeah,
When was that?
That was the October 17th flight. So
Okay.
they touched down in UAE October 19th, so about 20th. They got to the United States June of 22 to the Virginia area where they had a reception thing where they went to. And then from there, the mom and the three kids went to go with dad. And then her brother went to San Diego to live with his brother.
So from October to December, getting back to Fawad, there was 3 times you thought you would have a flight or a way to get Fawad, his parents, and his younger brother out. That all failed. So now the story comes to December, January, and you're working along with all the other stuff like that sidebar we just talked about.
Yeah.
You're dealing with Fawad, and you're going through Marwa on that, talking to her, working with Atkinson.
Yep.
And what's the next step along the way?
So from the end of October till December, that's when I had reached out to State Department and got shut down 3 times. And then I got introduced. Actually, Dr. Caterson introduced me to an individual.
Let's tell us about who Dr. EJ.
EJ. EJ is a doctor at Nemours Children's Hospital. I know they're going to hate me for saying their hospital name on the air or on podcast, but whatever. He's a phenomenal person, and he does microfacial reconstructive surgery. So,
Right. In Delaware.
He got told a story about the same time as me. He got brought in by another doctor that was helping prior to that, and then he somehow got connected because what they were trying to do is set up where can he go if we can get him out.
Right.
So EJ got it set up to where he could go to Nemours.
Really?
And it was paid for.
Wow.
To be treated.
He took care of all that.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is, you noticed by Christmas then?
I knew that by October. Like, we had everything ducks in a row. Where he could go, where he was going to stay, how we were going to do everything, how we were going to get, him treatment. we had the Ronald McDonald House, which was phenomenal. And they actually stayed there. The hospital was phenomenal. The staff is phenomenal. Like, Nemours is a great hospital, and Delaware was really receptive and did a great job. There's a whole nother side of this story from when he gets here of the amount of people that were so giving in that state. And I know our president's from there, but these people are genuine and they are giving. They help, and they did.
Yeah.
They did a lot of help. So I was working with just EJ at this point on that side. I was working with, and him and I would just talk
while you're juggling all the other stuff.
And then Marwa and I were handling family stuff. At this point, I had paid for passports, official or some that looked like it, but then got official later. Like, it was, there was a lot of, you're doing whatever you could. I mean, it's survival over there.
You had to get them out.
You're just trying to get out.
Yeah.
And that's, in the families, I'm not the one that's going to get in trouble. I'm here. They're the ones who have to pass the documents. So it's like,
sure.
I had paid for some real ones with the family. I got them all their documents they needed. I made sure, and Jennifer helped with that because she's an immigration attorney. She understands a lot better than I do because I have no clue when it comes to that. Yeah, she actually understands this stuff. I don't.
And she's up in Maine. She's in
Maine. She's in Maine. I'm in Tennessee. Marwa's in Maine. EJ's in Delaware. Other people are in Texas, Florida, California. All over. My contacts were all over. Georgia, DC area. Like, I was talking to people everywhere, trying to get this poor kid to get help. So December comes around. EJ says, "Hey, I have a friend I want you to talk to." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "I think he can help." And I'm like, "All right." So we have a conversation with this gentleman, and I said, "Here's the story." He was friends with, some people that were very high up in our government. And so we had a conversation and about it. I told him what I wanted. He said, "Well, what do you need from me?" And I said, he goes, "I can go one of two routes with this. You tell me what you want me to do."
Really?
I said, "Okay." I said, "What you just said is what I need. Can you give me 5 days? I just want 5 days to try one last effort, going from bottom up, because I always think that's a better way to handle it than top down." And I said, "Give me 5 days and I'll get back in touch with you." He said, "Okay." So
this is December, January of 22?
No, this is beginning of December of
21. Okay. Yeah.
And so I reached out to my contact that I had at State Department. And I said to him, I said, "Hey," I said, "just so you know," I said, "I know you've told me no. I know you've told me no 3 times. I said, I need you to listen before you say no again, so you can take in everything I'm going to say." He said, "Okay." I said, "First, I have a well-known and phenomenal author who wants to write potentially a book about this story. I don't know, his name's John something.
Something or another.
Something or other.
Yeah.
And then I said, I have a reporter who wants to do an actual news broadcast of this. I said, and third, I have an individual that talks to the boss's boss of your boss, of his boss." And I said, he's willing to help and go say to get this kid out.
Wow.
So I'm giving you one last effort to get me a yes before we go the opposite direction and you're just told to do it. I said, that's your option. It's either you go to your boss and his
subtle.
boss and you say, "Hey, we should do this. And this is one, it's the right thing to do." And he agreed with me. He was not opposed to it. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
It's people above. So he goes, "Okay, well, I'm going to need some time." I said, "Well, you have 5 days." I said, 5 days from now, within that 5 days, I need here, because in 5 days, I'm making the call and it's coming from the top. Then he said, "Is this just an open threat?" I said, "No, because I don't like talking to politicians. I really don't. Like, I don't want to talk that high up. I never had that want or desire."
Yeah.
I said, "No." I said, "It's real." I said, "I mean, if you want to call it and think it's a bluff, you have 5 days. If you don't get back to me, you'll find out. And 2 days later, he called me back and said, we're getting him out. We're going to do everything we can. So that was December. Then January 22 comes around. Hey, it's moving. Cool. They're getting their paperwork processed. They're getting everything we need. We're getting them everything. We're feeding them.
What kind of paperwork? I mean, besides a passport and a visa?
It's their passports. We needed all their information, which I already had most of this. And then Jennifer understood, and Jennifer helped me a lot with this because it was a lot of the immigration stuff that they
She's
wanted.
the legal eagle from Maine. Yeah, Jennifer Atkinson.
She was being my lawyer, and she was helping me. Bless her
Pro
soul.
bono attorney.
Pro bono. She did a lot.
Yeah.
She was phenomenal. So we got all that stuff in. We were moving, and it would stall, and we would move, and stall. it was like, oh God. Well, in January of 22, which happens to be when Fuad's birthday, January 19th. I think that's someone else's birthday.
Indeed, Robert E. Lee.
And someone else sitting in this room, not mine. His grandfather died.
Ooh.
In Afghanistan. So Malia, Marwa's mom,
right.
Zora's sister, in February decides she needs to be, because she was really close with her dad, she needs to go see him.
In Afghanistan. Wow.
So
I forgot about that side of the story.
Somehow,
yeah.
She got money and flew her 2 boys to Turkey. She flew with Marwa and took Marwa to Afghanistan. They flew into Kabul.
No.
They get to Kabul. They get to the family. So I have no clue about. Jennifer didn't even know. Neither of us knew.
Really?
And then I was gone for 3 weeks with the military overseas. I came back, and had bilateral knee replacements as soon as I got back.
Right, I remember.
And Russia then also invaded Ukraine on that same day. So it was a great day.
February 22nd, 2022.
Knees got replaced and Russia went into Ukraine. It was a weird day. And I find out right before surgery, I got a text from Jennifer saying, I need your help. Marwa and Malia are in Afghanistan. Oh. Like right before I'm going under the knife. So I'm like 10 minutes from surgery.
I'm on the table.
I will get back to you as soon as I know what's going on.
As soon as the anesthetic wear off.
So I had surgery, get back, and then they tried to leave. It got scary. They went back to house. Now they're afraid because Marwa's 16. She's an American because they had just got their U.S. citizenship in January.
Wow.
So she's a U.S. citizen. Mom's a U.S. citizen. And they're in Afghanistan. So now I'm trying to figure out. I haven't even figured out how to get Fawad out.
Let alone.
Now I have to figure out how to get Fawad and his family out. And those two.
Yeah.
My worry was bringing the two stories together, or the two situations together to State Department, it was going to blow the whole deal up. And they were just going to leave him. So I told them, you're going to have to be patient. I need to focus on getting him out because of his medical. You guys are safe. Your stepdad's there. Malia's husband's there. You guys are safe. He's not. The only one I was worried about, besides him medically, was Marwa, because she's 16. And in Afghanistan, you're usually a Taliban bride by then.
Sure.
So it's like, I was more worried for her safety than anything. I worked on the side trying to get them out without bringing undue attention that it's a relation to Fuad.
While doing rehab on your new knees.
Hopped up on painkillers. Made really good texting, probably. I would have to look back at my text to see what I said. So then we keep going. And then there's a lull. And it's a lull, obviously, because of Ukraine. That didn't help anything with Afghanistan. Not at all. So come around, and then June, because this whole time I'm helping them out. trying to get things just, but there's nothing moving. Like Ukraine crushed everything with anything we were doing because everything went to Ukraine focus, and now Afghanistan. It was an afterthought.
And plus, they want to forget it.
It's almost like Ukraine happened to forget Afghanistan. I swear. I couldn't write that. If you're a conspiracy theorist out there,
That's a good one.
I'd look into it.
Yeah.
But so then June comes around. I get told, hey, it's moving. They got called. They're getting their shots. They had to go get their COVID vaccine. They had to go get all this stuff done.
So they had to get a COVID shot to get out of Afghanistan.
They had to get the vaccination.
Oh, my God.
Required. All of them. All of them. So they go through. Wasn't just Fuad, his mom and dad, and his brother. It was Fuad, his mom, dad, brother, grandma.
Oh, grandma too?
And stepdad, and Marwa and Malia. Marwa and Malia were separate.
Yeah.
But all of them, the 6 of them, grandma goes in for her test on TB and test positive in the x-ray. So grandma's delayed now.
Oh, no.
like, so many things. But the only one I'm worried about out of all of them is Fuad.
Sure.
And his brother Emran as well, because, it's his brother, but Fuad because of the medical necessity. So we go through June, July comes around.
Well, look, just for a second, who's doing the bandages for Fuad? Who's
his family?
What are they doing, if anything?
Changing him. They went. There was a hospital that Jennifer had gotten a hold of back in
in Afghanistan?
October. Yeah, and they were here and with a relation there, and
Right.
they were able to get some things, but it was very minor from what we were told. It was nothing. It was bandage changes, antibiotics, all that stuff. At this point,
This kid's hanging on.
he's hanging on, still fighting. Afraid to go outside, obvious reasons.
Yeah.
His brother was shook up too. You gotta remember, this is your brother.
Yeah, his 3-year-old sees a 6-year-old brother get shot.
Well, he didn't see him get shot, but he saw the after effects of it.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Let's be accurate.
You're right
but
there. Yeah, you're still there. Same day.
It has an impact.
Yeah, huge. So they're hanging on. June, they ran out of money. They didn't have no food, no water. They were short on a lot of things. So they went and they bring it back. I got them some money through some friends. Got them supplies through another friend. They did a link up. It was great. We had it all coordinated. It was kind of like one of our link ups. But it was funny because it was like they would send pictures. The pictures would come to one person. They'd go to Marwa. They'd go to my other contact here in the States. They would each get pictures. They would share the picture with me. I'd say yes, yes. And then they would go back and then they would meet. It was hilarious. It was so many steps and so difficult. But a friend of mine here in the States who's Afghani, his family just got out finally. So they're in they're just getting out of Pakistan. So they're finally getting out. And this guy's been helping me since the beginning as well, in the U.S. And then, so they're doing that. We get them food, which was nothing more than rice and flour.
Anywhere along this line, is this where Razul comes into play?
Not yet.
Not yet?
We'll get Razul in a minute. So we get all that. I get him. So he helped me, and he supplied a lot of it. Food, one of them, or actually 2 of them. One of them that I got out on October 19th, the one whose sister was married to Ghani security. He got me all of the food and water. So he still had family and stuff there. He still does. His sister's there, who's a doctor. But they got Fuad's family food and water, like 3 months supply. Wow. I'm like, what do I owe you? I don't know how much that would cost. He's like, you owe me nothing. You got me freedom, so you owe me nothing. So he and his family gave them enough food and water for over 3 months.
See, these are the size of the Afghan people you never hear about.
Yep. And
what incredible.
And then the other friend of mine, who lives in Boston, I believe, I'm going to try and go see him when I'm up there in June. He got them money so that they could have rent covered. So he got the rent covered so that they were good. So they didn't have to worry about it because of the boy.
Sure.
August comes around and they're like, hey, they're moving. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we're getting the COVID test. They got 2 weeks. They got to get a COVID test and then they can fly. They flew out on August 21st. I think it was 21st or 23rd. So almost a year and a couple of days later from when he got shot, he finally gets out. They flew to Doha.
Is there a little bit more detail on that? How's he get, what flight?
State Department.
Really?
So this is state. So state got him out on a State Department manifested bird to Doha in Oman. They went there. I asked, and so as I had made a new contact at State Department in between that time and from like June till now. And so we became friends, and she's phenomenal and she helps a lot. But there's the guy who emailed when they got out. He's the first State Department person who left a phone number on his email signature block. First one.
Really?
So as soon as I got that email, first thing I did, I went down, I read it, got
bing.
Call. So
hello, new friend.
Talked to him, told him what was going on, told him everything. Typical, he told me, hey, your typical wait time in Doha to get cleared, it's like 3 months. And I'm like, hey, man, this kid's been going a year with no medical attention.
Without surgery.
Like, we need... So instead of being in the tents like everybody was in Doha, they got a room because of his medical condition. So they got an actual like bedroom, like a building. They got a little bit of better things because of that, and because of that conversation. Because otherwise, he wasn't even tracking. And I was like, wait,
what?
State? Oh, okay.
Yeah, never mind.
Yep.
It's the federal government.
We talked. They got in there, and he said 3 months. So I was like, okay, all right. So around November, September, end of September. I was up north, and then he said, hey, they're coming in next week. I'm like, I'm not gonna be here. He's like, yeah, but they're coming. I'm like, I need you to push that flight to the right. I told you need to give me, like, it's like this coming weekend. So I have to organize all of the Ronald McDonald House, the hospital, everything else for them, because that's where they're staying. Like, I can't just do that overnight. Like, I need some lead time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, you need to push this. So I was going to be back up north in the DC Triangle area in a week, and lo and behold, they came in and landed on October 3rd, and I was able to meet them at Dulles, which was the longest day of my life. But meet them at Dulles. Drove from Baltimore down to Dulles up to Wilmington, Delaware.
Right. I remember that night. Could we talk when you were driving up there?
And then back down.
Yeah.
That night, and then I went back up because I was there for training. I was there for 3 weeks. I went up there almost like every day. Like, I went to see the family and stayed with them. And that night when I drove up to Delaware, was my introduction to Razul, who was a godsend. And that man has done so much, and that's a whole separate interview.
Let's give a quick thumbnail about his history before you meet him.
Yeah, so Razul basically has been working by around Americans since the Russians held Afghanistan, since he was a boy, right? So he's been
and he fought
involved,
the commies,
and he fought them.
Yes,
but he
for that 10-year war.
There's actually a show, and I forgot the name of it.
Spy.
It was Spy. It was something Spy. See, we're both old. We forgot.
Indeed.
It was, but there's a show, and he's in it. And
episode number 1.
Yep. He's a remarkable person who actually cares about the country, not like money, politics, anything. Cares about the country.
His country,
and,
Afghanistan.
Yeah, his country, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And, you know, but man, you talk about someone who's done things.
So after fighting communism for 10 years against the Russians, then he worked with our people at different levels for how many years before he ended up in the States? Because he got wounded too.
Several times.
Yeah.
I still remember a story of him talking about getting shot by a woman after he left their village, and one of the guys was going to take his RPG and shoot her house. He said, no, she's just mad because we, you know, went through her house. And they're like, well, she shot you. He's like, yeah, it's his anger. It's okay. Like, yeah, Rasul has had some very close calls. He played a huge role in a lot of different things. And I'd rather let him tell what he can tell of his exploits, because but I can tell you, man, they're just, you sit there and you're like, what?
Really?
But
yeah.
what
even
Rasul,
that show was just amazing, what he went through there.
Yeah. But one thing I liked about, so like when we had my retirement and we had my party, right? We had John Stryker Meyer. We had the troll, George Sternberg. We had some other people. Yeah, we had EJ was there. Rasul.
People we can't name today.
Yeah,
but
we had people from from Vietnam to today.
Yeah.
And hanging out with that crowd was so incredible, because you got history taught to you. Like, you had history taught to you right there. And man, talk about insanity.
So now we're back.
Yep.
It's getting close. When does EJ do his magic? When does all that begin? Because that's a closing end of the story that's so remarkable.
EJ, his first surgery was October 19th, 2021, which was great. I got to be there for it.
22.
Or 22, sorry. 22.
It's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
October 19th, 22. Fuad had surgery. It went well. There were some issues afterwards. Mom went back to see Fuad in recovery. When she went back there, his mom's pretty anemic, which is normal. One, they use kettles that have lead base, so it takes all your a lot of their food. It's just not. So she was anemic, but then she went back and she saw Fuad and passed out. So she has to go to the ER. I'm sitting in the waiting room with Dad and Emron. She went back with the translator, and all of a sudden we saw a gurney go flying by us.
With her?
No, empty, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I saw a gurney going by, and his dad goes, he's like, Zora. And I was like, what? He's like, Zora. And I was like, just like that too. Not like, it was like, Zora. Like,
my wife
there
goes,
she goes.
There she goes.
There she goes by. Like,
oh
and
my
I'm
God.
like, so I get up, I start running because I have no clue what's going on, right? There's a gurney and he said it's her. So we go all the way down. We're in a children's hospital. This is an adult. We go all the way down to the ER, find the ER because I have no clue where I am.
Right.
I get down there. They're handling it. The translator's there. I said, everybody's here. Nobody's up there. And Fuad's by himself. Like, he's in recovery. No one's going to be able to communicate with him because nobody up there speaks Afghani, and neither do I, or Dari, and neither do I.
Yeah.
So I go running back upstairs, take the elevator, fly back up the steps, up the elevator, get to the floor, go over there, talk
with
to
your
him.
new knees.
Yep. Go over, talk to the lady. She's like, yes, you can come back. So I go back and I see Fuad laying on the bed. And the second I saw him, I know what she saw. She saw the same thing I did, which was the same picture, the very first picture I ever saw of Fuad. Which
Really?
was when he got, because I mean, he just had surgery, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the first thing that came to my head when I saw that. So then I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God, that's why. So I call Rasul, talking to him. Fuad's obviously out of it. He's still drugged out.
Yeah.
But then he...
so by this point, who had connected you with Rasul?
EJ did. EJ worked with
our
Rasul,
surgeon.
right? Yeah, our surgeon. Yeah. He's got some interesting stories too.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
let him fool you. Not all doctors are the same.
And he's modest.
Yes, very, very modest and giving, very giving. Him
For
and his
sure.
wife. But So I'm sitting there with him, and I'm talking to him obviously in English, and he doesn't speak English, but just gestures and
Sure.
stuff, and making sure he's okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down, like. And then the nurse came over, and she said, "How's his pain?" And I'm like, or no, prior to that, he puts his hands to his mouth. He's like, "Ow," and she's like, "Oh," and I was talking to Razul, so he kept saying "ow," and I turned around. I was like, "Hey, Razul, give me a second," and I hung up, and I'm like, "What's going on, bud?" He goes, "Ow," and the nurse is like, "Oh, does his mouth hurt?" I go, "Ow?" He's like, and he just shook his head yes, and I was like, he wants some water. She's like, he's saying "ow." I said, "Ow is water." Like that's water. And she's like, "Oh." She's like, "Well, thank God you can translate." I'm like, "Oh, I don't understand a word he's saying." I just know that word because I've listened to Razul, who's helped me over the last.
You could have called him back. You would have talked to many.
So then she gets him water.
Yeah.
And then she comes over. She goes, "Hey, can you find out what his pain level is? Because we don't know." And I'm like, and obviously, I'm like, So I'm like, I don't know. I think it was dud or something like that is pain. And
Okay.
I'm like, here, and then he would point to where it was. And I said, she goes, "Well, what level is it?" I go, "Is it little, or this?" He's like, he's sitting there with his hand. He's like, and I'm like, "Here, yeah." I'm like, "It's about 7." She's like. There's 2 nurses behind me, all the way down at someone else's bed, right?
Yeah.
And I hear them like bust out laughing, and she like looks at me like, "You got that from that?" I'm like, "You didn't?" So I taught her what pain was, and then I'm like, just use, think of it. As far as your arms can go is a 10. This is a 0. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, just. It's guessing. It's guessing. If you ask me in English, you tell me, "What's your pain?" I don't know, 3. I don't know, 4. I don't know what that means. So I'm just shooting numbers at you. I mean, there's a lot, and obviously we did this. Give a shout out to Carl because we did this podcast back in November.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is the official title is the Tactical Tuesday live stream number 63 by Carl Erickson, and that's available online, where you did your first interview with Carl about this experience. We did have at the same time Razul was on the phone as part of this EJ. That was just a great night.
It was a good time.
But thanks to Carl.
And thanks for throwing me under the bus on that one. I was not prepared for that until I got in the car. I thought I was just going with you to a podcast, not going with you to a podcast to do.
Well, you being Mr. Humble Pie like you are, if I told you the truth, you'd find a way out. So when I had you in the car, you're a captive audience.
So one thing before we kind of wrap this up, or wherever we're at, I don't even know. But we never knew what he got for treatment.
Right.
I had no clue. None. All we thought is he got bandages. When he first got to the hospital, the first thing EJ did was obviously put him in for MRI and all that stuff, right? Everything he could get him. And come to find out, he had hardware. So somebody did something.
Somebody meaning a doctor somewhere.
Yeah, a doctor in Afghanistan put screws in his face. But we don't know who, and we asked Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They don't know. And that family, you could see a huge transition. I hung out with those kids on the weekend when I could. We took them to a baseball game. EJ's kids play Little League.
Yeah.
They did a whole, and thank you, the Delaware Wilmington, the sports, the fields there that they play at. They had the family come out. They let Fawad and Imran throw out the first pitch. They did. It was amazing. And man, it lightened up. The kids let them swing bats and hit balls. It it was incredible.
Their first introduction to baseball.
But you got to watch a family who went from what they did a year prior to watching those kids smile.
Living in a mud hut in Afghanistan.
But watching them smile, watching them enjoy life. And the interesting thing was, the first time we drove Zora and them around. So Razul actually did it. He drove them when I was gone. He drove them around Wilmington area, and they saw the parks and they saw the trees and they saw the green grass. And they said, Zora said, "What did we do so wrong that Allah thought we should live without all of this beauty?"
Wow.
So, and she made another comment that really hit home to me about the way she saw herself and her family. So, as I said before, illiterate, right? Not educated family. They're not your, like, oh, we are pilots. No, these were, they are definitely blue collar as blue collar can be. She said to me, with Razul there, she said, "Why us?" This is after, she's here. She goes, "Why us? Why do we deserve this? We were less than dirt."
What?
That's how she saw herself. That's how she saw her family.
Yeah.
We were nothing. We were nobody. What? We're, as we want to say, we're dirt farmers. That was her thing. And that hit home, because it's like, wow, that's what you think of yourself. It's like, it's hard to believe that's what you, that's how you see. There's a huge change in them now. The kid's happy. Farhad's working. I think he has 2 jobs now. Fawad's still getting medical.
So how many surgeries from EJ since the first? Because I know you said you had to have a few more follow-ups.
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 now he's on.
And this is all covered through generous donations or whatever.
Yeah, it's covered through that. Medicaid is a little bit, but the hospital was picking up most of it. So, man, it's incredible the amount of giving and the amount of support of the people. And I'm going to say Andy, Mary up in Delaware, the EJ, his family, friends, and I'm missing a bunch, but I'm old and I forget everybody's name. So sorry if I missed it. I know there's several more and I can't remember, but you guys all deserve more than I do. Like, you're still doing it. Like, we're still doing this. Like, so Fawad was one story. It's big because it played a huge role in my life. It took a lot.
Sure.
But I can tell you that all of it is, there's so many more of those. I had another one that reached out to me, but I couldn't. I tried, but I couldn't. But, sometimes there's nothing you can do. And you have to know when that is. And, man, I can tell you from experience, like, that, it's hard to say to someone, I can't help you. Like, you don't want to say that to someone who you know is going to live a life of misery, like, especially for kids. Over there, those kids have no future. Like, where are they going to go? With Taliban? I mean, that's their option. It sucks. That's what we did.
So even during all of those times together in Delaware, at some point you went up to New England, back to your old hangout in Boston?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
I'm going up there in June.
And also you're doing the ongoing efforts to help people that still have heard about you or one way or another through your networking. That all began in the early August of 2021.
3 years ago?
Almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of guys I know who were doing this, they stopped doing stuff September, October. You're not getting everybody,
Sure.
The flame doesn't burn that long. But, because of him, that's why. If I didn't come across his case, I probably would have, kind of slowly dipped out too. And it's not giving up. It's just, man, I got a life. But Man, you see that face, especially before and after, and it's the shirt he was wearing in the before picture, which I think is the one on the paper, the one picture of him alone. That was the shirt he was wearing prior. That's the same shirt he was wearing when he got shot. That shirt was bought for him by his dad, who, like I said, they didn't have much money. That was his favorite shirt, and he was just absolutely devastated when he found out they cut it off of him. And it was his favorite shirt, not because of the color or the fit, because his dad bought it for him for a celebration.
Sure.
That's why it was. But
maybe for his birthday in January.
Yeah. You look at it; it's just different. It's a different life, and I'm glad I was able to give them a little bit. And like I said, this wasn't just a me thing. I was his advocate. I just didn't give up. I just kept being a pain in someone's butt. I'm usually pretty good at that. You can ask from little all the way up. I'm definitely a pain in the butt. But I just stayed persistent with it because it needed it. And it was the right cause, right? It was the right time. It was the right thing. And it worked. And, and when I go back there, I always go see them. Every time I go there, I see them. Like I said, I'm gonna go up to Boston here soon, and I'm gonna try to reach out to some of the other people that I know.
So Fawad and his family are still staying in Delaware now?
Yeah, they're staying in Delaware right now. His other family's up in Maine, and then they have more family that were in Ohio that are in Delaware now. And then, we're gonna see if we just gotta get them stable. It's still. I mean, everybody's like, well, it's been 2 years. It's like 2 years in a complete change of lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what would you do if they took you from this and said, here's your shack? Oh, you have no job, no money, and your education means nothing. It's like, oh, what am I do? So they're on the opposite of that with no education and got pulled from a country where no education didn't mean anything to a country where an education means something. And now you're like, well, what do we do?
Sure.
How do we make, you have to adjust with culture. You have to adjust. So there's a lot of that. And the kids are in school. They're doing well. Fawad actually got in a fight and punched a kid because I guess he was either choking or grabbing Emron. So he's defending his brother.
Right.
Good
his
to
little
see,
brother.
Because I usually see them fighting. So it was good to see them. But it's like they've become boys.
Yeah.
Who are relaxed. Who are doing well in school. It was kind of cool in the beginning, trying to teach them letters and it was pretty cool. It was a good time, and I enjoy every minute of it. And I have no regrets for helping them. It's just been a long
then
road.
Over this time, as you look back, I mean, look at the men that you served with, and then other veterans along the way, and people that were on active duty, one way or another. Through communications, social media that we didn't have in 1975.
No.
I mean, April 30, 1975, when Saigon fell, ending the Vietnam War, for us, we couldn't afford anything to help other than pray a lot.
Yeah.
And in your case, at least you and your fellow veterans, particularly SF men and those that had so many Afghanis over the 20-year span.
Yeah.
That worked with, defended, kept you guys alive and helped. And to be able to come back, network, and upon reflection on that, I mean, where are you? I mean, how many people? I just can't imagine the people.
Yeah, I don't...
Like you said,
I know we're
not keeping numbers, but it's just an outstanding effort.
The last big group that got out was 150. That was that last year? And that was a big group.
Right.
And then from that, there have been onesie-twosies that I've talked with still staying in communication with the people that were talking directly to the families.
Sure.
I'll get hit up every once in a while and be like, hey, they got out. Hey, they got out. So that's why I said it's really hard to put a number on it. And like I said, maybe it's around 1,000. I could be way off. But I look at it as, again, if you're keeping count, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Indeed.
I'm doing this because these people deserved it, and we did them wrong, and I will, always try to help. And
we'll delineate the we here is the government did them wrong, and we, the service members, did what they could to help. I mean, the fact that if you could help one or more, as you did in such an exemplary way, that's a great example of the difference between us and the Russians.
Yeah, and I'll say, if you helped at all with Afghanistan, I don't care if you gave $1, you gave a penny, or you got someone out, or you got 10,000 people out.
Or you helped the Pineapple Express, which is another operation.
But I don't care. Thank you, because you are part of, what this society, what we should be as Americans. We're not going to give things away, but hey, this is a problem. And it's also, to me, like you teach kids, right? Ownership. Own your mistakes.
Yeah.
You screwed up. No, we didn't, but the U.S. did.
Yes.
Yes, it's the government, but it's still the United States. Own it. We screwed up. Take part. Help out. There's still organizations out there still helping.
Because there's still needs.
Yeah, Sanctuary is still helping, and they're helping in other areas of the world as well. They're a big organization. I have a lot of friends.
Could you tell us a little bit about Sanctuary? Because I know people might be more familiar with the Pineapple Express.
Yeah, Pineapple Express was big, and then Sanctuary...
Colonel Man.
Yeah, is run by Perry Blackburn, who was on the original invasion into Afghanistan. He wasn't part of the horse soldiers, but he was part of that whole group. And then it's his kind of organization. It's all charitable, 501c3. It's, but they actually do good things, And if you're going to help, I'm going to tell you this right now: there were a lot of scammers. In 21, oh my God, the number one scammers were human traffickers.
What?
Ukraine, same thing. Oh, we'll help your kids. Bam, send the kids. Oh yeah.
So a little bit more delineation on that topic. I mean, so if somebody says, "I'll take these 100 Afghani kids home,"
they would give them. Their parents are going to give them. Why not?
Right. Then they disappear?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
that happened.
Human trafficking happens every day.
Of course.
But that was one of the big things. The other one was, help us, donate money, and now you give money to this. There were people that who was it? They were out $50,000. They donated to something, and it was false. I think they went after them. There was a couple big ones, like millions of dollars.
Really?
Yeah. And here, why? Why are you using? Why do we feel we need to use anything to get $1? Tragedy. Why are you using people's suffering
to rip them off further?
To rip someone else off.
Yeah. And
then not help them. You couldn't spell government more by doing that. I mean, that's like government. It's like taking from people in bad times to not help them.
Right.
That's the epitome, right? It's just, I don't know. I guess certain people have certain ways and certain people don't. And it's just like if you're, and I don't even care if you wanted to help with this because you wanted to boost your ratings or how many tweets or whatever social media you're on. I don't care. You helped.
Right.
So I don't care. I think you're in it for the wrong reasons. However, if you still helped, you help. You have my respect for helping.
Sure.
I may not respect your reasons, but I respect that you helped. The countless people that I've encountered, that you've introduced me to, that have given money, have helped me, have helped others, have been involved. All the people all the people I know in Texas, and you guys know who you are. If you ever watch this, you guys know who you are. I couldn't have done any of this without you guys. I couldn't. There's so many people. I can't thank enough people that were able to help not just Fuad, but everybody else.
Right.
The contacts I had, the people who work in the government, the people who don't work. It wasn't me. I just kind of kept doing things. Just like I said, I was the needle. Everybody else was the push.
Sure.
They were just pushing me to do it, right? And I just did it. And I like I said, I was really reluctant to do this just because
right.
And even if this stays, just between friends, I'm good with that too. Like I don't need it to go anywhere.
So also before we come down to the closing moments here, what is Marwa doing today?
She's in college. She's in college, and I said they did a video. She won a scholarship.
Really?
Yeah. So they put a video together for her, and I don't know if I ever sent you that link, but I think I still have it. But the video, I got to do. They interviewed me for it, which I took with such great honor because it's like she blew me away. So yeah, if you have Marwa in your college and you're watching this, you need to just give her an A and give her like whatever. So she'd be a person that if I owned a big company, I'm hiring her
right
now, and she can finish her college, but I'm hiring her now because she showed so much. She's
that good.
Her character.
What an amazing young lady.
She actually did a well in Afghanistan. She raised money and had them put. She raised money, and I think it got completed to build a well in Afghanistan for people because they had no water. So she raised money for that. You know,
no kidding.
Yeah, like, and let's see, she like almost a 4.0 grade point average in high school. She basically ran her household. She drove the car. Her mom would once in a while. That's kind of scary, trust me. But she handled all the bills because she's the only one. Her mom didn't speak English, and she's the oldest. But then she also has the cultural thing that she's the oldest, but she's a female. So now, there's
but now
a lot
she's in America.
But now she's in America. But that culture that's still there.
So she's within the culture, but she gets out of that culture, she can still.
She was expected to do all the dishes. She was expected to do all of the normal, what they did in Afghanistan as a woman. Right? And don't take that as me saying right or wrong. It's just me stating facts. So they have their culture. That's fine. And however they want to continue that or let go of it, that's up to them. I don't get involved. I'm definitely not one to tell someone they're right or wrong.
Right.
I mean, I might tell you, but that doesn't mean I can hold it against you. But she did all of that while, dealing with her mom who had a lot of, I'll say PTSD from everything that happened to her in Afghanistan before they got out, and then everything that happened now. And by the way, their entire family is out. So Marwa, Malia, Fawad, Emran, Zora, Farhad, her stepdad, I forget his name. Sorry, sir. And we finally got her grandma out.
Wow, no kidding.
She was the last one. She was the hardest. I think they still have some other family that are there, but they didn't want to leave. But everybody who wanted to leave is gone. They are out. They're here. I've met everyone except I haven't met grandma yet. And Shirzad, that's it. Or something like that. That's his name. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm horrible with names.
That's right. Well, we're at that point now.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before we close it down? And just an amazing story and all these sidebars. Like you said, we could go on more.
Oh.
But just the idea of the time spent juggling phones. I remember talking to you, so I'm going to put you on hold because I got another call.
Yeah.
This phone's got to talk to that phone. In between, it's like
we did a lot of weird commo things, and that's what you get when you work in commo, right?
Indeed.
When you're a tech guy, you can figure out things.
And last but not, before we do the wrap up, just a quick thumbnail. When you were a young man, you grew up in Wisconsin. You made the mistake of joining the Air Force first.
Yep.
How many years in the Air Force before? 4. Then you had the Grand Awakening, became a Green Beret.
Yeah.
And put in 20 years to service to our country.
Yep.
Anything in between about your background there, just a little bit?
I've lived all over. Not really. I mean, I have you'd have to, the amount of jobs I've had is ridiculous. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I was growing up. I still don't know.
Well, maybe the one thing that's fascinating is that you're a hell of a baker.
Yeah, I can bake.
You can bake,
weird.
Bake a
Everybody's
cake.
like, really? What?
You've impressed my wife for that.
You know what? It's you have to be exact, and it keeps my brain centered because my brain likes to run all over.
It likes to deal with exactitude and mathematics.
Yeah, that's why I think I could handle what I did with Afghanistan, was because my brain could go all over and still stay focused on what it needed to.
I'd be more disoriented, but you're on top of your game for sure.
I'll say, there's a lot of people in my past, that I've come encounter with, and I thank every one of them, from my parents to teachers to coaches, everything. That's what made me who I am. It wasn't just me. Yeah, you could say, oh, it's just me, but it's not.
No.
You're shaped by your environment, and I've been blessed. I haven't, lived a wholesome life. I've never been.
That's before you got married to this lovely lady. You married up to a lovely lady.
But I've definitely been. I've had my issues, but we all do, right? But it's the thing. I think this wasn't about giving back. This was about doing what was right.
Sure.
And I think if you can do something and help someone, that doesn't mean you have to give every panhandler $20. That means you see someone that's in trouble and you help them, instead of turning and walking away, like you see in all the videos, someone's getting beat up and everybody just walks away from it.
Like today, yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Like in New York City.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, in
the big cities, maybe not in the little town like White Bluff, Tennessee.
It's definitely different here. But I just say live your life full, and just remember, you don't always have to be kind.
Right.
But always try to help someone that actually needs it.
And also, you're being modesty again. You got 3 lovely children that you're helping raise with your lovely, beautiful, talented wife.
Yeah, definitely. That's a
blessing.
They definitely, I'll say my family probably paid the biggest price, from 21 all the way through 22, like that entire time. Between work and Afghanistan, like it was, and I'm glad they're still around. Like they didn't leave. Says something. I don't know why, but they're still around. But they, that's a hard thing with them.
Sure, but they knew what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. They couldn't talk about it to any of their friends, but they knew what you were doing. A good family secret for the Lanning family.
Yeah.
Any other last thoughts there before we go into our final wrap?
No, except for that. I've been blessed with having one of my superheroes become probably one of my best friends in John Streichermeyer. And if you haven't bought his book, you better get out there and buy his books, all of them, and every one of the books on SOG. And if anyone in Hollywood hears this, when is the mini-series, movie, or whatever coming out about SOG? I'm sorry, I had to put that plug in there because I'm tired of it. We need to see it.
Okay, with that thought, we thank you. And so we thank Jocko Willink Productions to make our SOGcast possible, and through his team with Echo, Carey, and Tom Lanning, who's been a big player in this. And none of this could have gone forward without Jocko. And as always, when we close out, we thank our service members that are serving our country today, our first responders, and of course, the many agencies, particularly Border Patrol, Customs, first responders, and people at the hospital, and people like EJ who went way out of his way to help Fawad in such a unique fashion. And again, this is part of the great side of America that we're so proud of here. And for today's service members, we salute you all. And again, from the Vietnam War and others, for our POWs and MIAs who didn't come home, we always have a moment to salute you all. With Memorial Day not being far away, we stand by to remember